Let's queer up gay culture. Drive-by pellet gun attack targets LGBTQ plus bars in San Diego. This week, 4 LGBTQ plus bars in San Diego have been targeted in a drive-by pellet gun attack, leaving 3 individuals injured, including one who had to be hospitalized. The attacks occurred at the Rail Bar, Rich's Nightclub, number 1 Fifth Avenue, and Peck's, according to KFMB-TV. Eddie Reynoso, a host at Rich's Nightclub, was hit in the eye. Recalling the incident, Reynoso said, quote, "I get hit directly in the eye. I feel something kind of like explode, almost like something popped. In my mind, I thought, I just got shot through the eye, and my eye just flew out," end quote. Rich's Nightclub has reportedly been targeted in similar incidents before. The police are investigating the motives and assailants, who are currently unknown. The vehicle involved was seen slowing down as occupants fired and possibly recorded the attack. The Rail Bar patron Izan Carso expressed his dismay, stating, quote, "This is obviously a safe space. So the fact that people can just come in from outside and make it feel unsafe is just unfortunate. Something can go wrong really, really quickly, and it could have major effects on multiple people," end quote. The National Coalition of Anti-Violence Projects notes nearly 60% of bias-motivated homicides against LGBTQ plus people are done using guns. The community remains vigilant and resilient in the face of such attacks. However, such hateful attacks never fail to damage the sense of safety the LGBTQ plus community has been fighting to achieve in the country for decades. Goodness, this is a hard story to read. And I have to say, I'm sure everyone in this table and beyond, that is those at home listening and watching, this resonates with so many of us. That is the fear where I will slightly have a kind of contention. I don't think I personally have ever understood gay bars as safe spaces. I find them to be refuges, like in some ways, but safe, they have never really been. And in part because we're not safe in the world, right? Like that is that we can't imagine that there's this place that we could enter. We want to feel safe in them. And that is we need to fight to feel safe in them. But there's such a long history of being attacked specifically in these kinds of spaces that are ours. And that's why they attack us, because they're ours. To all those who were affected, know that there's a community of folks behind you and that we support you.
And you know, it's fun. It's not funny. Nothing is funny. It's interesting you say that because you are Florida based, right? This is your home.
Yeah.
As someone who has DJ'd in San Diego at Rich's, someone who has DJ'd on the West Coast, someone who has DJ'd in Manhattan, someone who's DJ'd in Fire Island, P-Town. I'm naming all these places not to sound like the shit. I'm naming it because Florida doesn't feel like a safe space with the bars, but WeHo does. San Diego does. New York does. There is something down south, and it could be an overgeneralization of what I'm saying, but there is something down here that feels more hateful and more like, oh, I have to be on my defense a little bit more down here. I remember feeling like I could wear this shirt walking down the street of Santa Monica Boulevard with my DJ equipment, not having to worry about anything. I don't feel that same way in South Florida, even just only being here for a year and a half. So I think it's interesting that you make that statement as someone who has lived here their whole life, because I definitely believe it breaks my heart a little bit that you don't see a gay bar as a safe space, because I have felt safe and embraced by so many gay bars, you know. So.
Me too. I don't want to say like that as I do feel, I feel home, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's not the same thing as feeling safe.
Right.
But I do feel home and community and all those things for sure. And I've lived in New York and I've lived in North, like I've lived in other, but I think they're contested spaces. Like that is like they're kind of historically been, anyway.
Yeah, no, of course. Nobody, you're right. You're right.
And you know, like I remember interviewing Brandon Wolf a couple years after Pulse and what happened there, and like what has happened at queer establishments has been disturbing. But what I think is also even more disturbing about this incident is too often we think these are isolated incidents, but they're not.
No.
And there's actually, you know, there's a lot of connections to this sort of violence to right-wing activity. You know, at UCLA, there was a group of 100 masked men that like went and attacked anti-work.
Right.
The Guardian went and researched them and found that they had a history of anti-LGBTQ activism before that. Right. When I was editor at Options Magazine, a queer outlet in Rhode Island, I covered the neo-Nazi group in Massachusetts, NSC 131, when they weren't attacking libraries, like lefty libraries, trying to trap people inside. They were going after Drag Story Hour. I remember interviewing people outside of Drag Story Hour and how the NSC 131 has done that. This is a pattern of behavior happening in this country. We do need to be investigating it more and really asking, I hear about how we're supposed to be electing these elected officials, like California, Massachusetts, these are places that are run by the party that a lot of people tell us to vote for. What are they doing to make us safe?
Yeah.
Well, I think to Julio's point, the reason, and to your point, the reason I don't think things feel so safe here compared to the places you mentioned is a lot about gun control, which of course is an issue. It's a gun issue. And the second thing is we've created a culture, and that culture has been elevated of terrorizing LGBTQ people. I think just as recent, I think it was last week, I saw Rachel Covello posted that again, somebody peeled out on the pride flag in St. Pete again, which is what happened in Delray Beach.
Yes, they're not putting it on the bridge or something too in St. Pete. They're not
lighting up the bridge, but somebody skidded over the intersection again, which is what happened in Delray Beach. It's these small things to terrorize people, to make you feel afraid. And then it's been elevated by political leaders that are making it okay to attack LGBTQ plus people. And then you put that in the hands of people that can get easier access to guns, which our governor, Ron DeSantis, allowed here in Florida.
Well said. It's a gun issue, I think, largely.